CTV News with Caroline Van Vlartigan.
Good evening. Police are investigating a murder after a 44-year-old man died after he was stabbed this afternoon in downtown Montreal. It happened on De la Gauchetière near Du Boulin downtown. Witnesses say the man was stabbed during an altercation and a woman fled the scene. A 39-year-old woman has now been arrested. She's expected to make an appearance in court tomorrow. And a 17-year-old teen is in critical condition tonight after nearly drowning in a backyard pool in Anjou. Police say the boy was found unconscious in a friend's pool at around 5:20 this evening. Officers administered CPR, and with the help of paramedics, the teen was sent to hospital. Police have now set up a perimeter at the corner of Levesque Street and Georges Avenue in Anjou while they investigate. A 24-year-old hiker from Sainte-Foy was rescued this week on Mount Washington. According to our colleagues at Nouveau Info, the young man was taken by helicopter off the mountain after falling 50 feet on a difficult trail, often requiring ropes. According to authorities, Thomas Charland suffered serious but non-life-threatening injuries and was lucky to have survived the fall. A man who spent 33 years behind bars was hospitalized today, uncertain if he'll go back to prison. Daniel Joliv spent 33 years in jail before being released after it was determined he might have been a victim of a miscarriage of justice. Joliv was released on bail last December with a number of conditions, among them that two court-appointed sureties ensure that he follow conditions of his release. But for undisclosed reasons, they filed a motion last Thursday asking to be relieved of their duties. Jolivet was supposed to be back in court Monday, but was admitted to a psychiatric hospital instead. His lawyer says not knowing his fate and if he has to face a new trial has weighed heavily on him. Well, with the first major heat wave of the summer approaching, Montreal's mayor says they are preparing to help citizens who need it. Today, the mayor of Montreal said there will be cooling stations and water parks open to the public, and she reminded citizens that there are numbers to call for help and to be on the lookout for others.
Of course, I see what's happening in Europe. We've gone through this in our city. We just have to make sure that people know where to go, and if there's any issue, they have to call 211. Every urgency, 911 if you see anybody in despair.
And the heat wave is expected to last from Wednesday to Saturday. Well, the peak of the coming heat wave could be on Wednesday, July 1st, which is also moving day. Christine Long has more now on how to keep cool during a big move.
It's a tough job, even in reasonable temperatures.
Get a heat wave smack during the busiest moving week is very tough on our guys.
Just in time for moving season, meteorologist Simon Legault says this week will be summer's first heat wave.
We expect temperatures to go above 30 degrees, maybe 32, 33 is possible. Humidex above 40 is again possible.
Meldrum the Mover has been in business for decades. Co-owner Josh Schwartz has tips on how to best manage your move in high heat.
Lots of bottles of water, lots of Gatorades, lots of the proper foods, not too many salted foods. You want a lot of fruits, a lot of stuff, a lot of sugars to keep you hydrated and energized throughout the heat wave.
Limit the time spent moving heavy furniture and watch your friends for signs of overheating.
We expect impact on the population because of the heat, the exhaustion that comes with that, and all the stress that is on the body.
Schwartz adds that more hands makes for lighter work for all. So get as many helpers as possible.
We will add extra crew members to the job, and just to make sure to alleviate a bit of the stress to their days.
Legault adds, take breaks when you can.
In the shaded area, indoor with some air conditioning, if you can take a dip in a pool, something like that, that will help your body to relieve a little bit of that heat stress.
To make sure that those who do have to move do so safely. Christine Long, CTV News.
The City of Montreal is starting a fund for interest-free loans for tenants struggling to pay their rents. Mayor Soraya Martinez-Ferrada says the money will allow 150 households to access up to $5,000 in loans. It would be repayable over 5 years. The announcement comes 2 days before July 1st. While many Montrealers will start a new lease this week, others are still looking for a new place to live.
The request they have right now is about 500 families. The important issue is making sure that in the long term, we're putting in place the social net that we need in order to prevent people getting into the streets. I know that this 2 days notice from the 1st of July is not the sole solution, but it is one that we'll put in place in the future in order to not lose anybody.
And the mayor says Montreal is the first city in Quebec to do this, and she hopes to see other cities follow suit. Well, Premier Christine Fréchette was in Saint-Lazare this morning to announce a new housing project for the Vaudreuil-Soulanges region.
It is important to underline the fact that this project is the result of a strong partnership, a partnership between the government of Quebec, the government of Canada, also the city of Saint-Lazare and Desjardins, and local stakeholders.
The project will include 45 affordable housing units, among them 15 accessible units for people with reduced mobility. It will cost nearly $18 million and expected to be ready in the fall of 2028. Officials with the local housing office say a growing number of families in the region are struggling to find a place to live.
The crisis is increasing years after years. For the moment, we have approximately between 25 and 30 families who are looking for urgent housing for the 1st of July. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of solutions for them for the moment. We're gonna try to help them as much as we can.
And she adds that Vaudreuil-Soulanges is among the regions in the province with the lowest rate of social and affordable housing. And we'll speak to a housing expert on the latest numbers on housing availability in Quebec a little later on in our show. Residents in Saint-Henri living near a supervised drug injection site say the situation has gone from bad to worse. They're calling it an unsafe environment for seniors and children, and they want Quebec to step in. Here's Denise Roberts.
On a hot summer's day, Victor Rousselot Park is nearly empty. And for good reason, according to Saint-Henri residents Michael McKenzie and Renaud Muller.
This is largely empty all day, every day of the summer because it's not safe.
Next door is La Maison Benoit Labre, which has the city's first supervised injection site. It's become a source of contention in the neighborhood since it opened 2 years ago. Residents say children have been exposed to violence, sexual acts, and drug use.
It's out of control. It's completely out of control, and I think it poses a danger to the user of the center and the community back.
When the center opened, a cohabitation committee was set up to improve relations with the neighborhood. Parent Sarah Al-Casey was a member.
We were able to bring to the attention of the committee members incidents that happen.
But she says the committee has changed hands and communication has waned. That's why more than 1,800 residents of Saint-Henri have signed a petition calling on all levels of government to intervene.
We need a plan in the short term to help make our neighborhoods safe again. And we need medium and long-term plans to help people get the services that they need so that no one is dealing with these issues.
The petition was spearheaded by Mackenzie, a child psychologist and father.
People have a right to mental health care. People have a right to substance use treatment. But people don't have a right to harm other people. And compassionate communities can set boundaries about behavior that harms other people.
Under Social Services Minister Lionel Carmon, a law was passed to keep safe consumption sites at least 150 meters away from schools and daycares. Under that law, Maison Benoit Labre must relocate its injection site, but says it needs time and funding to do so.
So Minister Carmon has it in his authority today to revoke that transition period, and that's what we're asking you to do.
CTV News did not hear back from Lionel Carmon nor the Maison Benoit Labre by airtime. But Montreal's mayor says the issue is on her radar.
I know that the government of Quebec has asked them to move the consumption site to a better location, and I know that that's what they're working on.
To find a solution that works for everyone. Denise Roberts, CTV News.
Montreal's electric light rail network, the REM, has launched an awareness campaign to keep people away from the tracks.
Caténaire conduit 1500 volts.
Through a video and in ads, the REM is asking people if they would rather risk their lives than take shortcuts over the tracks. The reasons given include the high risk of electrocution and the fact that trains cannot stop in time to avoid hitting someone. As well, the REM says any intrusion onto its tracks forces the entire network to be shut down, causing everyone to be delayed. Last November, 2 young men died and a third was injured when they crossed the tracks near the Ducartier station in Brossard. Well, so-called forever chemicals are being found in fish in the St. Lawrence River, sometimes in high concentrations. And that could lead to new warnings about eating fish caught in local waters. Here's Angela Mackenzie.
It's not uncommon to see people fishing along the St. Lawrence River, but eating your catch can come with risks. The province monitors toxins such as mercury in freshwater fish. Now, it's also tracking the presence of PFAs, also known as forever chemicals.
They are causing concern for the health of humans.
Sébastien Sauvé is a professor in environmental chemistry at Université de Montréal. He says forever chemicals don't easily degrade and are used in everything from nonstick cookware to fire retardant materials. According to a new report, they are showing up in fish in the St. Lawrence, sometimes in high concentrations.
I'm not surprised that we find PFAS in the fish from the St. Lawrence.
He says they're found in grocery store fish and most animal protein. They also accumulate in bigger fish who feed on smaller fish.
On top of that, the St. Lawrence River is a bit more contaminated because there's a lot of cities and industries that will release wastewaters that contain PFAS.
The government has guidelines for consuming fish from Quebec waters. It's broken down by species, size, and where they're located. But it factors in toxins like mercury, not PFAs. The Health Ministry says it's working on updating its recommendations to take forever chemicals into account. These recommendations aim to reduce the long-term risks associated with fish consumption while taking into account the recreational impacts and health benefits of eating fish. It adds as a precaution, pregnant and breastfeeding women should follow the province's guide to consuming freshwater sport-caught fish. Sauvé would like to see the government go further and issue recommendations for all food.
Whether it's at the grocery or whether it's something that comes from the St. Lawrence or any other river is not above the guidelines. But there aren't any guidelines for food consumption related to PFAS.
So everyone can know that what ends up on their plate is safe to eat. Angela Mackenzie, CTV News.
Tourism Montreal says the Grand Prix move from June to May brought the city a bump in the number of visitors. Data from hotels in Montreal and Laval showed bookings were up more than 10% in May. There had been concerns that an earlier Grand Prix might mean a drop in visitors later in the season, but the city ended up with more tourists.
F1 Grand Prix has moved for 3 weeks before, and we were wondering what impact it was going to have on the effervescence of Montreal. Will there be a lot of people just like in June? And our data shows that the occupancy rate in our hotels is 13% more than it was in June 2025. So there was a lot of people in Montreal in May.
And tourism officials say prices for hotel rooms this June are lower than they've been in previous years. Well, it seems that many people are not taking full advantage of their vacations. A recent survey found that last year, 4 out of every 10 Canadians didn't use their vacation time, and that's becoming a public health concern. Dr. Christopher Labos is a cardiologist.
Going to be bad for your physical health, can be bad for your mental health, right? It's going to lead to stress, chronic anxiety. It's not going to do wonders for your cardiovascular health. And ultimately, the big problem is that if it gets very, very bad, it can lead to burnout. We saw a lot of that during the pandemic. We continue to see it now. And it is a major problem.
And you can watch the full interview with Dr. Labos on our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca. Still to come, how did Montreal become one of the cities with the least amounts of available housing in North America? A new study says that Montreal and Quebec City rank last in North America for housing availability. On July 1st, thousands of people will be taking part in the annual moving ritual in Quebec. And joining us now to give us a sense of what we can expect this year is Margaret Van Noten of Project Genesis. Thanks for joining us, Margaret.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
So Greater Montreal apparently now ranks 42nd out of 43 major metropolitan areas in North America in terms of housing availability. How did we get so high up on this list?
It's really a terrible thing, and I must say that seeing that number really confirms for me what we're seeing every day in terms of the hardships that people go through to find housing and the conditions that they're living in for those who do have housing. That the market is so tight that people are afraid to leave their dwellings, even if the rent is too high, even if the conditions are poor, even if they're overcrowded. And those people who do lose their dwellings, who are pressured out or forced out, often find themselves in terrible, terrible situations. And how we got here, my guess would be that a number of new players came into the housing market, saw that rents had been lower than usual, that they could there was a lot of money to be made, and they moved in, bought up lots of real estate, and we see that rents in many cases are doubled.
And we see that even with the vacancy rate, right? Apparently it has risen slightly from 2.9% in 2025 to 3.1%, but apparently what is available now is not affordable to most people.
That's right. Normally a 3% vacancy rate, we would hope that people would not find themselves in the situations they're in now, with having to put up rent that consumes 75% of their income, for example. But in actuality, people are still tolerating terrible conditions because the dwellings that are available are at what we call now market rents, which are indeed the average that we are hearing about for a two-bedroom was over $1,900, which is completely unaffordable for many, many Montrealers.
Yeah. And the Premier just today announced a new affordable housing unit project in St. Lazare, but they won't be ready until 2028. And the Mayor of Montreal announced interest-free rental loans for tenants who can't afford housing, up to $5,000 for 150 households. But I'm guessing that's a small amount of people that would need this help?
Yes, indeed. It's a tiny drop in the bucket. And what we see are these little tinkerings with, measures that really only affect maybe a few hundred households or even a few dozen households in one of the instances. When we really need major structural changes, I would say that we don't need to just protect a few select units from speculation. We need to protect the entire rental market from speculation.
We only have, sorry, Margaret, but we only have maybe about half a minute left, maybe 45 seconds. But what are you foreseeing for July 1st in Montreal then?
We already know that people have not been able to find housing, have not been able to sign the lease. And unfortunately, I see the situation getting worse, and that people are very precariously housed, on the streets, and in what we call invisibly homeless. So unfortunately, that's what we expect.
So do you have any idea of how many people will be on the street July 1st?
It's hard to know. Many of the people in Côte-des-Neiges, where Project Genesis is located, will be able to count on family and friends and community for a certain length of time. And that's what we see, is that people will couch surf for a few months when they don't have a place, but eventually that will run out, and they will eventually be spending their nights at McDonald's or in the metros, things like that. And we know that there are hundreds and hundreds of people just in Côte-des-Neiges in those situations.
Just in Côte-des-Neiges alone. Wow. Well, Margaret Van Noten, thanks for discussing this with us, and I'm sure we'll be talking again to you in the next few days as the moving day comes, and we'll see what happens with all these people who are looking for dwellings. Thanks so much for your time tonight.
You're very welcome.
And still to come, a stunning upset for German soccer fans. Paraguay beat Germany today in a stunning upset that sent shockwaves through the soccer world. Disappointed German fans in Montreal gathered at Wunderbar Beer Garden in La Petite Patrie this afternoon as Germany faced Paraguay in a round of 32. It was the first match of the season to end in a tie at 90 minutes and head into extra time, but that extra time also ended in a 1-1 tie, which led to penalty kicks, and Paraguay won it 4-3, beating the powerhouse Germans, who sit 31 places higher in the FIFA World Rankings.
Honestly, Paraguay was playing very good. Like, I gotta give it to them, you know, but I would never guess that they were actually winning.
We're disappointed, but they play like they play, and I think they were better 2 years ago.
Oh my God, my blood pressure is getting back. Yesterday I wore my Canada jersey, it worked. Today, not so much. Big upset, so.
Oh, so sad today, but now I can cheer for Canada with a free heart.
This time we lose, but see you in 4 years.
And in a match that just finished minutes ago between Holland and Morocco, Morocco upset the Netherlands, another soccer powerhouse, in penalty kicks as well. 3-2 for Morocco. Well, Brendan Gallagher has been traded to the Vancouver Canucks. Gallagher spent his entire 14-season career in Montreal, and last week he was named an honorary citizen of the city of Montreal.
Gallagher is part of the history of the Montreal Canadiens, 911 games with the Habs. During his 14-year career in Montreal, he was only left out as a healthy scratch during the last few weeks of the season because he was a great player with great character. So his legend will live for a long time in Montreal.
Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, the Greater Montreal area was under a special weather statement as of earlier today that was issued by Environment Canada calling for hot weather and humidity. We are looking at humidex values that could be up to 44 degrees over the next couple of days. To give that some context, looking at our record high, that could be about 10 degrees warmer than our record for today. So back in 1959, that's when we hit our record high of 33.3 degrees. And we are also expecting warm weather for tonight. So that's going to start with a low that begins with the number 2. So a low of 20 is what we're looking at for this evening, along with a few clouds. And for tomorrow morning, we are seeing a wake-up temperature at 21 degrees. So sun and clouds are expected to come flooding in for tomorrow morning. By afternoon, we are looking at a bit of a 180. So those sun and clouds could start shifting over to some showers. We do have a 40% chance of that happening as of now, and as we get to later in the evening, it could get a bit more intense. So our futurecast is showing us a significant amount of clouds coming in by about 12 p.m. on Tuesday, and then we are seeing the system coming over from the east. So that's expected to hit Montreal by 3 p.m. By 9, things get a little bit more intense. So where we see that orange and that red, you're going to want to potentially watch out for even a chance of thunder showers. And of course, not surprisingly, there is more rain to come. Looking at our long-range forecast, we're seeing potential thunder showers recurring on Thursday, Saturday, and even this time next week as well. But that rain doesn't mean it's going to be any cooler. So temperature-wise, we are looking at daytime highs ranging in the high 20s to low 30s. On Wednesday and Thursday, for instance, we could hit a high of 33. But with the humidity again feeling warmer, so looking at humidex values of 44 degrees on Wednesday and Thursday. For Friday, we could have a daytime high at 32, feeling more like 40. Seeing some sun and clouds scattered throughout the forecast, but moral of the story is over the next few days, you're going to want to do your best to stay both dry and cool.
And David Letterman is coming to Just for Laughs this summer. The 79-year-old former talk show host will be making his first appearance at the Comedy Festival. He'll be in conversation with Canadian actor Will Arnett at Place des Arts on July 21st. And that wraps it up for us tonight. Thanks for staying up late with us. We'll see you tomorrow.